Hello, good evening, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Vantage Developers Presents Game On है मैं हूँ रोहान नदीम and we are back with another pre-show match number 26 of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 took place this morning between New Zealand and West Indies. What an exciting game once again we saw, especially from the host country. West Indies जिस तरह की fight और excitement वो show करते हुए आ रहे हैं इस World Cup में 3 में से 3 मैचेस जीत के अब वो सुपर 8 के लिए क्वालिफाई कर चुके हैं। बहुत स्मूथ तरीके से उन्होंने आज भी अपना मैच खेला, इवन दो सामने वाला ओपोनेंट जो था वो बिल्कुल भी वीक नहीं था। ऑफ कोर्स न्यूजीलैंड अपनी फुल स्ट्रेंथ टीम के साथ आज सामने आया, कुछ चेंजेस भी उन्होंने किए, वापस अपने कुछ मैच विनर्स को वापस लेके आए प्लेइंग 11 में और कुछ शफलिंग हुई, लेकिन इन द एंड ऑफ कोर्स वेस्ट इंडीज़ वर टू गुड। एंड कुछ प्लेयर्स ऐसे होते हैं जो प्रेशर में बहुत स्पेशल इनिंग्स ऐसी खेल जाते हैं जो हमेशा याद रहती है। और शर्फेन रदरफोर्ड की अगर हम आज की इनिंग्स की बात करें, जिस तरह उन्होंने प्रेशर में आके अपनी टीम को एक ऐसे टोटल तक पहुंचाया जो एक कंपेटिटिव टोटल था ऑन द ग्राउंड अकॉर्डिंग टू द कंडीशंस। 149 जो है उन्होंने दे पुट ऑन द बोर्ड एंड मेड इट वेरी टफ फॉर न्यूजीलैंड टू चेज। उस पूरे मैच के ऊपर हम इन डेप्थ भी बात करेंगे क्योंकि हमारे पास जो हमारा गेस्ट पैनल है देयर ऑलवेज ready with their in-depth analysis and discussions, so can't wait to take you all through that. But before that, I have my beautiful co-host all the way from Australia, Erin Holland, who's also here, and she's also been enjoying these ups and downs, this roller coaster of a World Cup. And Erin, from what we're hearing, before we get down towards discussing the matches, the rain in Florida is not stopping anytime soon, and there's a high probability the matches that are going to be staged there, specifically the Pakistan game and the USA game, is going to be a washout.
I mean, say it isn't so. The competition certainly doesn't deserve that. I think what an out of this world T20 World Cup we've had so far. Anyone that we'd assume would have been a walk in the park in the group stages, it's just not been the case. Day after day, we've had upset after upset, and it's been one of the most hotly contested T20 World Cups I can remember for such a long time. You know, so much noise said about 20 teams, that's too many, you know, so many matches won't be any contest, it won't be interesting, but it's been absolutely not the case. The associate nations have been playing out of their skins, absolutely thrilling us game after game, and to think that after all this time, there's still 8 days left of the group matches. We still don't know who our Super 8s will be. We have 4 teams that have qualified thus far, but still the other 4 are all up for grabs in every single group. So I think the fact that everyone's still in contention in some way, mathematically so, is just so exciting and such a wonderful step forward, I think, for, you know, world cricket and particularly this format of the game. It's been truly exciting to be a part of, and I just can't wait to see what today brings.
Let's go towards our wonderful guest panel who are back with us on the show in studio to take us through the match all the way from New Zealand. हमारे बहुत favorite, one of the most explosive batters in white ball cricket, Martin Guptill. Martin, कैसे हैं आप?
बिल्कुल ठीक.
बिल्कुल ठीक. He's picking up on his Urdu जो हमने थोड़ी-थोड़ी
I hope I said that right. yeah.
बिल्कुल ठीक.
On spot.
Means you're quite good. Yunus Khan, Pakistan के iconic leader who won us the 2009 World Cup. A lot of contributions from him with the bat and of course putting up the captain's hat as always. Welcome back, Yunus Khan. Pleasure to have you as always. And the professor, as we all know and love him, his calculated analysis and solutions and all of that driven analysis that we really cherish on the show. So welcome back, Mohammad Hafiz. बहुत शुक्रिया, आप तीनों ने हमें फिर से ज्वाइन किया. एंड ऑफ कोर्स बिफोर वी टॉक अबाउट व्हाट हैपेंड दिस मॉर्निंग इन ट्रिनिडाड, एक रिकैप करते हैं जी, मैच समरी के ऊपर भी देख लेते हैं बिकॉज दैट्स वेयर इट ऑल स्टार्टेड. टॉस न्यूजीलैंड ने जीता एंड वेस्ट इंडीज़ वर सेंट इन टू बैट फर्स्ट. थोड़ा सा क्रम्बल हुआ जी टॉप ऑर्डर का एंड एट वन पॉइंट इट वॉज लुकिंग वेरी डिफिकल्ट for them to put a competitive total on the board, but Sharfain Rutherford with that 68 not out of 39, a blinder by him with the bat, supported by Puran with 17 off 12, Akil Hussain as well chipping in. And we saw New Zealand ki bowling mein kuch changes. Ayaz Saudi was brought back in, 2 wickets for him, 2 wickets for Ferguson, and of course Trent Bolt picking up 3 in his 4 overs. Jimmy Neesham also brought back in the 11. एंड अगर जवाब में देखें जी चेज़ न्यूजीलैंड का, तो वहाँ पे भी कुछ शेकीनेस नज़र आई फ्रॉम द टॉप ऑर्डर. वंस अगेन डेवन कॉनवॉय failing to make that contribution. 5 from him again, and Finn Allen with 26, Rachin Ravindra also chipping in with 10, and of course Santner with 21 not out of 12 balls showed that effort with the bat. Agar hum bowling ki baat kare, West Indies kept it so beautifully tight. Azari Joseph being that key player with the ball for them, 4 wickets for him, giving away just 19 runs in his 4 overs. And of course the spinner Gudakesh Moti with 3 of his 4 overs, giving away 25 runs. Akil Hussain picking up 1 wicket, and of course West Indies winning the match by 13 runs. इसका जो impact आया है वो क्या खूबसूरत impact आया, because that has put them through to the Super 8s. The home team are through with 6 points on the table. New Zealand, well, they look in trouble right now because they've failed to gather any points from their 2 games so far, and of course that net run rate is negative 2.43. तो यहाँ से New Zealand के लिए जो है वो बहुत मुश्किल होगा. Marty, I'm going to start with you, because when we were talking about that New Zealand playing 11 with you, and you hinted towards, of course, Nisham being brought back in and Saudi being brought back in. That happened, but it didn't really deliver. These changes didn't really deliver the way that you would have wanted.
I think it delivered for the bowling. I think if you look collectively at the fast bowling unit, 9 for 91 off 16 overs, I think is a really good effort in T20 cricket on these pitches and against such a strong batting lineup. You know, we had them 76 for 7. You've got to be able to put teams away, and I really like what Kane did to try bring the fast bowlers back to finish the innings off, but obviously didn't quite work out like that, and then to go for, I think it was 30 something off the last 2 overs to let them just get away at the end there. Well, they'll be disappointed with that. But then you look at the batting effort, and I'd say that's where it was lost really. You got 3 guys who faced double figures balls. Only 3 of them, no, how many was it? It was 6 guys faced double figures balls. Only 3 of them got to be able to have a strike rate of over 100. So they'll have to have a look at that pretty quickly, because they've got 2 games left. They'll be watching the game early in our morning tomorrow to see if hopefully PNG can get up over Afghanistan. Fingers crossed, because if that happens, then they're still in a chance. So they'll reflect on this and be critical about themselves, and then they'll just have to turn up for these last 2 games ready to go.
I mean, that would be such a tall ask for PNG to try and get up above the might of Afghanistan, who've come out all guns blazing, it has to be said. Such a wonderful, positive start by the Afghan men in this edition of the tournament. But, you know, Yunus, New Zealand, they're the perennial overachievers of T20 World Cups, of World Cups in general, it has to be said. A pretty abysmal performance against Afghanistan really put them on the back foot. An 84-run deficit. What that did to their net run rate going into this game, there was so much pressure on them to not only win, but win big to try and stay in contention. Where has New Zealand gone wrong in this tournament? We're so not used to seeing it.
No, Aaron, sometimes this matter when you're not playing as a combined team. And it goes same to Pakistan. You know, when our coach was not there, he came from IPL and then he joined middle of the World Cup. So these kind of points is very crucial for some time for the team. And then you sometimes you think about this run rate, not run rate, ball first, bat first. You know, it's matter how you start. If you start with your 2 points, then you realize what kind of net run rate we want. So I think team New Zealand missed that point, and then they still think that maybe they change or maybe they bat first, and then they ahead of the game. Sometimes you have to make simple for yourself as a team. So I think team New Zealand missed that point at the moment.
Yeah, they absolutely did. It was not the performance that they would have wanted to put on the board, Professor, but taking nothing away from the joint host nation, the West Indies. It's been such a long time since we've seen them put forward such a positive performance in World Cups on the world stage. It's a reinvigorated lineup. They've got some of their big dogs back in the side, with the likes of Dre Russ, obviously. But, you know, what did you like about the way that they came back and fought their way back from such a deficit, particularly batting first on what was a really tricky wicket with that inclement weather that was around in Trinidad?
Well, you can say, as I told you before, like, you know, in the post game yesterday, I said, like, you know, if this team plays as a unit, no one can compete with them. And it shows in this game also, like the way they recovered from one of the situation, they were 5 for 30 somewhere. Yeah. And then, you know, one person took took that responsibility to be there at the end and deliver for the team. And I think Rutherford should be proud of himself, and also every teammate must be happy and proud of the effort he made in this game, because at one stage it was like they could be all out in 50 or 60. But
they were 22 for 4.
Yeah, so that's like
76 for 7.
yeah.
One
So
time.
30 for 5. At that stage, he was only alone standing out there, but he basically played that innings, which obviously West Indies got a command on it. But you know, personally, I'm really surprised the performances of New Zealand. They are absolutely under par. There's no doubt on it. A lot of questions need to be asked from the management, from the captain, that what went wrong, because no one missed in this World Cup. They have a most senior players. Everyone was around, and then how come you can play this kind of cricket, which is obviously not a brand of New Zealand way, because normally New Zealand is very composed and ready for the mega events, but this time it seemed like they lost. I don't know what happened. Maybe Martin can tell us something about inside, because something went wrong. I believe that's the reason these performances are not correctly where we all have seen New Zealand doing that. So as a team, as each and every individual who was, you know, in this management has to give the answer that what went wrong with them, because at the moment they are, to me, out of the competition. If you are looking at that PNG have to win over Afghanistan, you are asking too much from PNG. So I think they don't deserve at the moment to be in the Super 8 like many others teams also, but New Zealand at the moment seems like they are not ready for this competition, and they are not showing the intent that they wanted to compete at that level.
Do you have any insight you want to add quickly, Guffey, just on Hafiz's comments there? You thought they were a bit underdone coming in as well, and some changes to the playing 11 this game, but still fell short once again.
Yeah, very underdone. I think they were the right changes to make, bringing Southee, Neesham, and they brought Ravindra in as well. I think are positive moves there, but they just haven't played well enough. They haven't been good enough. And there's no sugarcoating it really. You know, I think they need to do some critical analysis very quickly, because the games are going to come and go very quickly, and then they'll find themselves on a plane home if Afghanistan get up overnight, which is more than likely to happen. So they'll be disappointed, but then they also have to self-reflect very quickly, move on to the next game, and put out 2 good performances to save a little bit of face, and then to move on to what's coming up next in the calendar.
Well, someone who'll be absolutely reflecting on a wonderful individual performance. You know, Rovman Powell, the captain, he said we needed individual brilliance today, and that's exactly what they got from Shafane Rutherford. He actually posted the 2nd best score ever in a T20 World Cup, coming in at number 6. Have a little graphic here, which we'll have another look at again now. 68 red ink, 174.35 strike rate against New Zealand. There you see, just behind Cameron White of Australia, who did the damage against Sri Lanka. But what a wonderful performance by him. That 68 not out of just 39 balls, Guppy, was wonderful striking of the ball. We've already mentioned he came in for only the 2nd time ever batting during the power play. That's how early he came in for the West Indies. An absolute collapse. They were, you know, I think it was 22 for 4 at some point. To then have to come back and rebuild an innings, to do it of the nature, to have the temperament, to give himself the time. Let's relive some of the highlights now, and then open up, particularly in the last 2 overs. How much of an important knock is this in the context of this game?
Huge, like match winning, obviously in the end. New Zealand, they should have been able to put them away early, and they just couldn't quite do that. It's very unlike New Zealand to let the foot off the throat like that. Usually, you know, when we're in that position, we're very good at and rounding out the innings, but couldn't quite do it this time. And you've got to put your hats off to Shafane Rutherford. He timed it beautifully, got a couple of mini partnerships going, and then waited to the end when you know, you wouldn't say that Daryl Mitchell is a death bowler. He's a part-time bowler at best, to come in through the middle to try and sneak a couple of really easy overs in, but you know, he's been charged with bowling the last over here, and he's been hit for 19 off it, and that's pretty tough going. And then obviously Mitchell Satner bowling the last over, spinning the ball into Shafane's arc, always going to be a tough ask for Satner to finish off the innings, trying to get away with a cheap over.
And what a 10th wicket partnership that was, Roha, to get them up to that score.
Unbelievable efforts. And of course, after the match, we also heard what the captain said. Captains from both sides actually putting in their insights about what happened. I think both of them was a bit surprised with the result, but particularly अगर हम वेस्ट इंडीज़ की बात करें, यूनस पावल ने भी मैच के बाद यही कहा कि उनके पास उस तरह के फास्ट बॉलर्स नहीं है जो न्यूजीलैंड के पास हैं। उनके पास जो रिसोर्सेज हैं उन्होंने वो बेस्ट इस्तेमाल किए। वो थे उनके स्पिनर, वो थे उनके पास जो मीडियम पेस मौजूद थी। अगर हम वापस एक दफ़ा उसके हाइलाइट्स भी देखें उनकी बॉलिंग के, अलजारी जोसेफ जिन्होंने 4 विकेट्स आज ली, जिस तरह टैंडम में इन्होंने बॉलिंग की है, जहाँ पे उनको सपोर्ट किया उन्होंने मोती को, और दोनों एंड से जो है दोनों बॉलर्स ने इतनी ज़बरदस्त पार्टनरशिप में बॉलिंग की है। आप क्या कहेंगे इसके ऊपर? बिकॉज बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होता है जब एक कैप्टन ये कहता है कि हमारे पास सामने वालों की तरह शायद पेस नहीं है, लेकिन हमारे पास जो था हमने उसको यूज़ किया है, एंड ऑफ कोर्स कंडीशंस के मुताबिक बहुत अच्छे रिसोर्सेज थे विद वेस्ट इंडीज़।
ये तो देखिए, एक तो ये समझ में आ रहा है जिससे हम बार बार बात करते थे पहले कि टीम वेस्ट इंडीज़ आती है बग़ैर प्लान के, वो अपने फ्लेयर में खेलती है कि या तो बिल्कुल ही आउट क्लास कर देती है या बिल्कुल ही बिलो पार्क चली जाती है। ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो रहा। अगर मैं उनकी बैटिंग की खास तौर पर अप्रोच देखूं तो उन्होंने रोल डिफाइन किए हुए। अगर मैं रोस्टन चेस की बात करूं तो वो अगर पिछले मैच पे देखें तो वो वहाँ खड़े हुए थे और रन बॉल खेल रहे, तो इनके इर्द गिर्द खेल रहे थे। और वही आज जैसे शरफान रदरफोर्ड ने वो इनिंग खेली है, उनको पता था कि ये कुछ होने लगा है, ये बॉलर्स आएंगे और मुझे सिर्फ क्या करना है कि मुझे खड़े होकर, जो हम बार बार बात कर रहे हैं कि ठीक है आप रन बॉल खेलें, लेकिन फिर मेक श्योर करें कि या तो आप विन कर दें गेम, या फिर ऐसा कोई टोटल आप पोस्ट कर दें जिसकी वजह से आपके बॉलर उसको डिफेंड कर सके। तो एग्जैक्टली ये हमें नज़र आया इसमें। तो मुझे लगता है कि उनके कैप्टन और ख़ास तौर पर जिनका जो 2 वर्ल्ड कप जीते हैं उनके लिए सेमी का वो एक रोल नज़र आ रहा है कि उन्होंने बहुत जो है ना उनको प्लान दिया हुआ है कि अब ऐसा नहीं होने लगा है कि हम जाएंगे और हम छक्के चौके लगाएंगे और ऐसा और हम जाके कोई 200 रन कर देंगे, ऐसा नहीं है। और फिर जिस तरह उनके बॉलिंग को वो यूज़, अकील हुसैन की मैं बड़ी ज़बरदस्त वो देखूंगा कि उनके खिलाफ लेफ्ट हैंडेड बैटर खेल रहे हैं और उन्होंने वो आज इतना ज़्यादा आउट नहीं किया, एक ही आउट किया है, लेकिन वो उनको बड़ा अच्छा। और फिर जैसे नीचे नीचे हम देख लें उनके जो फास्ट बॉलर्स हैं वो
बहुत, जोसेफ का भी स्पेल जो था 4 विकेट्स गिविंग अवे 19 रन, बहुत
अच्छा।
देखो
टीमों ने बहुत अच्छा डिफाइन कर दिया है। यही काम हमने, अगर हफीज़ को याद हो तो यही उमर गुल के साथ हम नहीं किए थे कि मिडल में आते थे, तेज़ बॉल करते थे, रूम नहीं देते तो आउट करते थे। यहाँ भी अलजारी जोसेफ की मैं बात करूँ तो उनका जो पेस है वो ठीक ठाक पेस है। अच्छा, फिर नोकिया की बात करें तो उनके साथ भी यही हुआ। अच्छा, फिर अगर हम बुमराह की बात करें, पेस एक्सपीरियंस है, तो मेरे ख्याल से जो इस तरह के एक्सपीरियंस होते हैं और वो जब मिडिल में आके ओवर्स करते हैं लाइक 10 ओवर के बाद, और इस फेज़ में, क्योंकि इस फेज़ में बैटर कोशिश करते हैं कि वो एक एक्सीलेटर पे पाँव रखें और रन्स बनाएं, लेकिन जब आपके पास स्पेस होता है, एक्सपीरियंस होता है, तो वहाँ मुश्किल है। तो मैं ख्याल से ये देखें, ये टीमों ने ये एडोप्टेशन जो आप बात कर रहे हैं ये की हुई है। और फिर वही वाली बात कि टीम न्यूजीलैंड को थोड़ा सा अहेड रह रहे हैं। वो सबसे पहले उनको क्या करना था, जैसे पिछला मैच था वही मिस्टेक आज भी हुई। अगर मैं देखूँ तो 76 पे 7 आउट हैं और वहाँ से आप और 70 रन करा देते हैं, तो ये अपने आप को आप एक मुश्किल में डाल देते हैं। यही पहले मैच में हुआ जब 10 ओवर हुए थे, ठीक है कोई आउट नहीं था, लेकिन 10 ओवर में अगेंस्ट वेस्ट इंडीज़ के उसके अफगानिस्तान के कुछ 60-70 रन थे और उसके बाद रन बॉल हो रहे थे और उसके बाद फिर वहाँ से आप इतने रन करा देते तो अपने आप के लिए मुश्किल है। तो मेक श्योर करें कि ये जो की पॉइंट्स होते हैं वो मिस ना करें।
बिल्कुल। और जिस तरह आपने बात की कि थोड़ा सा आप कहेंगे पैनिक में, हफीज़ आपसे पूछूंगी 3 चेंजेस आज उन्होंने न्यूजीलैंड ने किए हैं, फिर भी उनके उस तरह से टीम जेल्ड टुगेदर नज़र नहीं आई। इज़ इट बिकॉज उन्होंने काफ़ी महीनों से T20 इकट्ठे नहीं खेली है? हमने जब देखा पाकिस्तान का टूर किया न्यूजीलैंड ने, तो वो भी एक अंडर स्ट्रेंथ टीम थी। अ लॉट ऑफ दीज बिग नेम्स वर मिसिंग बिकॉज ऑफ देयर कमिटमेंट्स इन द IPL। बट व्हाट वुड यू एट्रीब्यूट दिस टू? बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स थोड़े से भी स्कैटर्ड नज़र आ रही है न्यूजीलैंड।
लेकिन जब भी आपकी टीम में एक मैच के बाद अगले मैच में 2-2, 3-3 चेंजेस आते हैं ना, ये सबसे बड़ा कसूर मैनेजमेंट और कप्तान का होता है कि उसको पता ही नहीं है कि इतने बड़े इवेंट में उसकी फर्स्ट प्लेइंग 11 कौन सी होगी। अगर उसको ये नहीं पता तो इसका मतलब है दे मेड अ रॉन्ग डिसीजन इन द फर्स्ट गेम कि कैसे ये साउदी तो पहले भी मौजूद थे, साउदी पहले क्यों नहीं खेले? वी ऑल नो हाउ गुड ही इज़, हाउ गुड परफॉर्मर ही इज़ फॉर न्यूजीलैंड क्रिकेट, वो उनको नहीं खिलाया गया। फिर अगर जिमी नेशम को लेके आए हैं, कंडीशनल चेंज नहीं थी, उनको लगा कि उनसे पहली जो उन्होंने टीम खिलाई थी वो गलत थी। तो मुझे लगता है कि जो फैसले मैनेजमेंट ने किए पहले मैच के अंदर अगेंस्ट अफगानिस्तान, वो उनकी फर्स्ट चॉइस टीम नहीं थी। और उसको फिर एक पैनिक बटन जब ऑन होता है, जब आप हारते हैं, तो फिर आप देखते हैं कि किस जगह पे मेरा हाथ पड़ जाए और कोई ना कोई चीज़ से मैं ठहर जाऊं, लेकिन उतनी देर तक आपका जो डिक्लाइन है वो शुरू हो चुका होता है। तो इसलिए इतने बड़े टूर्नामेंट में आप जो अपनी फर्स्ट 11 खिलाते हैं वो आपके बेस्ट 11 होती है और आपका वो right combination होता है, which obviously in this game we saw, like, you know, they are still looking for a right combination.
But their batters didn't have answers to a lot of the West Indian bowling today, what we saw. And even despite playing batting all-rounders, we saw Rachin Ravindra was also part of the team today. But still batting seemed so clueless. What would you Erin, I'm going to ask you, because West Indian bowling has always been so lethal in their home conditions, and going forward it's only going to get better and better for them, because of course right now they're riding on that 3-3 high and going towards the Super 8. It's going to be a big challenge for the other teams to exploit those bowling conditions.
Well, just on the bowling as well, the great Ian Bishop, who called that game over in the West Indies, said that's the best I've seen Alzarri Joseph bowl in a long time, and it was the best he's actually seen the West Indian bowling unit bowl cohesively together as good as they have for such a long time. So, you know, it was a much better performance from the bowlers, which in turn really troubled the entirety of the New Zealand batting lineup today. And I'll come to Guppy on another performance as well from one of the bowlers that was exceptional, because Gurikesh Moti, with his 3 for 25, he systematically got rid of that entire middle order of the New Zealand lineup. Kane Williamson, we saw Darryl Mitchell fall. He did the damage through those middle overs, which we know are crucial, particularly in these conditions. We know the weather's been a little bit dicey around Trinidad as well. So what about his bowling performance today do you think extracted the best out of that wicket in Trinidad? We'll take a little look at the highlights now.
Yeah, Moti's really come on in the last couple of years with his bowling. He's been there and thereabouts from the West Indies team for a little while now, but he's just getting better and better. And you know, you see, probably he just didn't commit to that shot properly, Rachin Ravindra there. If he actually tried to really hit it, he probably would have got away with it. But he just bowled beautifully, and then obviously a little bit of turn and bounce there to go past the outside edge of Darryl Mitchell and really put the West Indies on top. You know, I'd faced him for the first time in the CPL last year, and he really impressed me with just his control and his ability to change pace and still land the ball on such a good length when he is changing that pace. You know, makes it hard on a wicket that's doing a little bit for him to get him away. And I think the New Zealanders will be disappointed that they just didn't get any partnerships going, because you know, when I may have said it quite a number of times in the show now, but if they had one partnership of 60 plus, a partnership of 50 and a partnership of 30 or 40, they would have won the game quite easily. They just don't seem to be prepared to do some hard yards to get that partnership going, develop it, and then to make most of the last sort of 7 to 8 overs.
It was Shafane Rutherford that truly was the difference for the West Indies, got the job done, and you know, what a prospect they look, particularly in home conditions, yes, but when you've got the likes of the spinners bowling, Akil Hussain as well, restricting starting from the very first over, and the likes of Alzarri Joseph, Andre Russell back bowling at his very best. They're looking like a really tricky prospect, particularly now we're just about done with the States and we're shifting our focus to the Caribbean for the back end of the tournament. So much more to unpack though here on Advantage Developers Presents Game on Hey. Off to a very short breather, but stick with us. We'll be back with plenty more action on the other side.
मिली आके मुझे तो जी वेलकम बैक टू Vantage Developers Presents Game On है. We are building up towards another exciting contest in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. It's going to be another exciting one between Bangladesh and Netherlands, because both these teams are coming into this match on the back of a loss. So not a great confidence for both these teams, but heading into this one, it will be very interesting to see how Bangladesh bounce back. They are on a sort of momentum that they can truly turn things around for their team. हमने last match में भी देखा कि इन दोनों बांग्लादेश ने जो fight put up की against South Africa, we haven't gotten to see a lot of fight from Bangladesh when it comes to T20 World Cups. हमने historically देखा है कि उन्होंने underperform किया है, even though on paper उनके पास बहुत match winners है. So we'll talk about the context of this game. It is going to be an interesting one. Remember, it's match number 27. We're already 26 game down, Erin, in this World Cup. But Mari, I'm going to come to you with this context, because Netherlands and Bangladesh, both of these teams have shown some promise in this World Cup. But Bangladesh, they in the last match they showed that they can do something with the bat. They came close against South Africa, very close, but couldn't get there. In the end, the head-to-head of both these teams tells us that Bangladesh have defeated Netherlands thrice in World Cups. What does that mean in the context of this game going forward?
I wouldn't have thought too much, because T20 cricket's about the team who turns up best on the day. They've both played some really, really good cricket in this tournament, which is exciting. And it's the team that turns up best today that'll win it. I think Bangladesh probably go into it favourites. But I just hope that they haven't played their best game against South Africa in the last game and don't have anything left in the tank for this one. You know, we want this to be a really another exciting game, a close game. So both teams will have a lot of confidence going into it, but we'll just see who comes out on top.
And because we've seen Mother Nature play a part as well, obviously that last game with Nepal and Sri Lanka was rained out, which does mean that we basically say goodbye to Sri Lanka in the context of them progressing from Group D. But it means that this match now kind of becomes a bit of a play-off to see who gets that second Super 8 spot. So will it be Sri Lanka? Will it be Bangladesh? We know South Africa in that group have already qualified, Eunice. So there's so much riding on this game today, almost like a winner-takes-all situation in terms of that second Super 8 spot. When we look at the team win percentage in T20 World Cups, there's a graphic here that says to us that Bangladesh sit on the very bottom. They don't win that often, unfortunately, and that net run rate is not fantastic, only a 25% win percentage. But given the fact that they come in 3-0 against the Netherlands, given the fact that there's a Super 8 spot on the line, what do you think the chat will be in the team to try and get them up and for the challenge today above a side that does have the ability to unsettle bigger teams? We've seen what the Netherlands can do.
They will love to, reach the Super 8, because in the last game, they showed the character. They were just one shot away, and maybe that Mahmudullah shot, he can get 6, and then it was so close.
So close.
It was so close. I think they knows that they have the potential, and as Marty says, that on given day you have to be switch on the right time and on the right spot. So I think if they perform as a unit, and they have the start, like the Shakib and Mahmudullah, and they have other youngster to perform. So I think if they switch on the right time, same like West Indies, they were switch on the right time now, and they perform. So I think these kind of teams, when they switch on the time, they perform well for their country.
हफीज़, अब आपको ओपिनियन में लेना चाहूँगी बांग्लादेश की प्लेयर्स हमने लास्ट मैच में देखा। तौहीद, बल्कि जब से वर्ल्ड कप शुरू हुआ, ही इज़ बीन गेटिंग रन्स विद द बैट। बॉलिंग में डू यू थिंक बांग्लादेश कहीं ना कहीं स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज उनके पास वो की प्लेयर्स ज़रूर हैं, फ्रेंचाइज क्रिकेट भी खेलते हैं ये, प्लस उनकी अपनी लीग भी उनको बहुत सपोर्ट करती है इन गेटिंग देम न्यू टैलेंट, बट सम ऑफ देयर बॉलर्स हैव बीन परफॉर्मिंग फॉर देम। अगर हम तस्कीन अहमद की बात करें, वो उन पे बहुत रिलाई करते हैं, बिकॉज ना सिर्फ वो विकेट टेकर हैं, बट वो इकॉनमी भी अपनी बहुत कंट्रोल रखते हैं। हमारे पास जो स्टैट है वो हमें ये बता रहे हैं कि 2022 से लेके अभी तक जितने भी T20s खेले गए हैं, जी, तस्कीन अहमद सिट्स एट नंबर 3 in terms of economy rate, which is very controlled at 6.2, और डॉट बॉल परसेंटेज भी उनकी अच्छी है। कितना रिलाई करेंगे इस मैच में बॉलर्स के ऊपर, ख़ास तौर पे तस्कीन अहमद पे?
देखें, तस्कीन और मुस्तफ़ीज़ ये दो ऐसे प्लेयर हैं जो बहुत बेहतर परफॉर्मर हैं इनके T20 फॉर्मेट में। तस्कीन तो वनडे में भी बहुत अच्छा खेल रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छी उनकी कंट्रीब्यूशन है, लेकिन तस्कीन की जो एक स्पेशल चीज़ है वो उनका राइट एरिया से बाउंस, जो शॉर्ट ऑफ लेंथ बॉल वो करते हैं 5 to 8 मीटर वाला, जो एक एरिया, जो एक ऐसा ट्रिगर एरिया है कि कोई भी बैट्समैन जब उसको खेलता है तो उसको मुश्किल आती है, तो ही हिट्स दैट एरिया क्वाइट ऑफन। और फिर उनका जो आउट स्विंग और इन स्विंग का कंट्रोल है वो इन दिनों में निखर के सामने आया। तो मुझे लगता है जो उनके बॉलिंग कोच हैं उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा काम किया, पहले डोनाल्ड उनके साथ थे, उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा इनके ऊपर काम किया। तो मुझे ये लगता है कि एट द मोमेंट तस्कीन को आप टॉप रैंक बॉलर में कंसिडर करें, और इस T20 फॉर्मेट के अंदर जो उनकी ग्रोथ है वो उनके हार्डवर्क के ऊपर बेस करती है। और मुझे लगता है कि इनकी टीम का, बांग्लादेश की टीम का ये एक सुनहरा चांस है कि वो अपने आप को ये वाला मैच जीत के सुपर 8 तक लेके जाएं, क्योंकि नॉर्मली बांग्लादेश ICC इवेंट में अंडर परफॉर्म रहता है, लेकिन जो लास्ट गेम बांग्लादेश ने खेला, दैट मस्ट हैव गिवन देम अ लॉट ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस। यस, दे लॉस्ट द गेम, but the fight was great. They were about to win that game, and I think in this game, if they will come up with the same attitude, a hunger to play, because at the moment the teams are winning in this tournament, they're showing more hunger. they're showing that they are ready to take any challenge. So I think Bangladesh will have a great chance to qualify for the Super 8 because Sri Lanka surely out of the competition. और अगर ये वाला मैच हॉलैंड का, ये नीदरलैंड के खिलाफ जो मैच है, अगर ये जीतते हैं तो ऑब्वियसली नो वन कैन स्टॉप इट. तो मुझे ये लगता है कि कॉन्फिडेंस वाइज मूविंग फॉरवर्ड इनटू द सुपर 8 और ये वाला मैच अगर वो जीतते हैं तो इनकी बॉलिंग की अगर आप बात करें तो इनके पास सिर्फ 2 नहीं है, तीसरा जो तंजीम है वो भी बहुत अच्छी बॉलिंग कर रहे हैं. ही हिट्स द राइट एरिया. फिर शाकिब आते हैं, महमूदुल्लाह, तो इनके पास बॉलिंग ऑप्शन बहुत है. सिर्फ इनकी बैटिंग जो है इस वक्त उसने ये रोल प्ले करना है कि वो इनफ रन्स ऑन द बोर्ड लगा दें. और उसमें मुझे लगता है जो इनके की प्लेयर होने चाहिए, तौहीद तो बहुत अच्छी क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं. लिटन दास सो फार इज नॉट परफॉर्मिंग एट दैट लेवल जहाँ पे मुझे लगता है कि ही इज ऑल्सो अ गेम चेंजर. तो अगर वो ऊपर से परफॉर्म करते हैं और शाकिब ने अभी तक कुछ नहीं किया, तो ये 2 ऐसे प्लेयर हैं जो मैं समझता हूँ कि इट्स अ टाइम फॉर देम टू गिव अ स्टैंड आउट परफॉर्मेंसेज. तो अगर ये 2 प्लेयर तौहीद की परफॉर्मेंस के साथ ऐड ऑन हो गए तो दे विल हैव अ वेरी गुड चांस टू बीट नीदरलैंड टुडे.
नेदरलैंड्स की अगर हम बैटिंग बिकॉज लास्ट मैच जो उन्होंने खेला अगेंस्ट साउथ अफ्रीका दे वर आल्सो स्ट्रगलिंग अगेंस्ट द क्विक्स. आज क्या बांग्लादेश कर सकते हैं स्पेशली विद द बॉल इन द पावर प्ले, बिकॉज उनके जो टॉप 3 बैटर्स हैं अभी तक स्ट्रगल ही करते हुए, ओदाउद भी, विक्रमजीत भी, ये एरिया एक्सप्लॉइट एक बांग्लादेश बहुत अच्छे तरीके से कर सकते हैं.
नहीं कर सकते हैं और उनके पास वो ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मौजूद है. अगर आप उनकी तीनों फास्ट बॉलर देखें तो वो तीनों ठीक लाइक आप उनको तेज़ कह सकते हैं. वेरिएशन उनके पास है और जो एरिया हिट करने की एबिलिटी है वो तीनों के अंदर मौजूद है. तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि किसी भी तरीके से स्पिन एंड फास्ट बॉलिंग का जो राइट कॉम्बिनेशन है वो बांग्लादेश मिस कर रहा है. मसला सिर्फ इनकी बैटिंग का वो क्लिक करना है कि इनकी बैटिंग वो पार रन्स को कर सकती है या चेस करने में अपने अंडर प्रेशर परफॉर्मेंस दे सकती है. तो मुझे लगता है कि इनकी टीम में वो इंग्रेडिएंट्स मौजूद हैं कि ये नीदरलैंड्स को ओवरकम कर सकते हैं. लेकिन हमने देखा है कि जो टीम ऑन द डे अच्छा खेल रही है हम समझते हैं कि ये फेवरेट है, लेकिन टीम दूसरी जीत जाती है क्योंकि जो डिस्प्ले ऑफ क्रिकेट है वो अगर कोई भी टीम अच्छा कर रही है तो वो जीत जाती है. तो अब ये दोनों के लिए विन विन सिचुएशन वाला मैच है कि जीतेंगे तो क्वालिफाई कर जाएंगे, नहीं करेंगे तो मुश्किल पैदा हो जाएगी.
और ये इंटरेस्टिंगली whenever Bangladesh we see them in T20 World Cups, I mean they've played every T20 World Cup but they've never qualified for a semi-final or a final, which puts a lot of pressure on them this time, Erin. And I think now they're finally in that place in this World Cup where they can use this momentum that they've gotten against South Africa, use it, get some points, and of course pick their best combination, especially according to the conditions today.
Absolutely, and we're in St Vincent, so I sort of feel like the Caribbean conditions will really suit particularly their bowling lineup as well. If we're thinking about the kinds of subcontinent conditions that they deal with, we know how special their spinners can be, some of the most damaging spinners, and Tuscan Ahmed, well, he's been performing admirably as the spearhead of that attack. Really looking forward to seeing what he can do today against the Netherlands, who, let's be face it, they know how to unsettle anyone. They're just one of those sides that just now are performing better and better on the world stage. But, there's a certain man, if we talk about these middle overs, we keep coming back to how crucial they are. Tauhid Hidroy, the way that he has been attacking the middle overs, he's actually got the 3rd best strike rate in the middle phases of this T20 World Cup, which is incredible to see. He sits 3rd there behind Aaron Jones and Andres House from the US of A. Who'd have thought that would have happened before this tournament began? But striking at 147.8, Marty, how crucial a cog is he in this batting lineup for Bangladesh if they're going to get the job done against the Netherlands today?
Yeah, I think he's massive for them. He can change a game in those middle overs when things maybe going a little bit slowly for them. He's the one to really put the foot down and get everything going. And what's been a bowler-friendly tournament so far, the conditions haven't been conducive to being able to smash the ball around, and he's just done it by playing really good cricket shots. He hasn't gone out and out slog. I mean, on drive, that's the best shot in the game. That means when you're playing that shot well, your balance is good, everything's flowing nicely. And then he takes his chance when he's got himself in a bit, taking down the spinners. His favoured slog sweep there, not easy to do against Wanindu Hasaranga, who's one of the best leg spinners in the world. And he managed to do it 3 times in an over and really change the course of that chase. They could have been, in a completely different spot there, but he's taken him down in the span of 2 overs, and that's really changed that game, put Bangladesh on the front foot and all but put Sri Lanka out of the tournament. So he's done extremely well.
And even in just that innings there, like he's targeting all around the park. So, you know, when he's in, where do you bowl to him in these sorts of conditions as well? Like we are in St. Vincent, so yes, we're back in the Caribbean again, slightly different conditions for him to contend with. But, you know, do you feel it's a good matchup considering they obviously play the bulk of their cricket in Bangladesh, these sorts of conditions today?
Well, I think it's a little bit of unknown. We don't know what we're going to get in St. Vincent. They would have had a look at trainings and things like that at the pitch, but until you actually go out there and start playing, you've got no idea what the pitch is going to do. So I'm not sure when the last time they've played an international game in St. Vincent. So hopefully the preparation's been all right. From all the photos I've seen on social media from people I know there, the weather's looked good. So hopefully that means there's no sort of sticky pitches or anything like that. It's going to be nice and plain sailing, and there's going to be some free-flowing cricket because we haven't seen enough of that in this tournament, and I think it's time for people to see that.
Last time we played in St. Vincent, that was 2013, I think, and that was a spin-friendly pitch. So normally the condition in St. Vincent is always a little bit more conducive for the spinners. So let's see how, and if that is the case, then too I think Bangladesh will be the strong team because they have all the right options. Left arm, leg spin, and also off spinner. So let's see how they will go over there.
And especially they are used to with these kind of conditions back in Bangladesh. So I think they have a good chance to qualify for Super 8.
100%.
And Hafiz with his CPL experience there on all of these wickets over in the Caribbean. We're off to a very short break here though on Vantage Developers Presents Game on Here, but do not go anywhere. We're building up to the toss, the pitch report, the playing 11s. It's all happening still here on the show as we build up to ball one of the Netherlands taking on South Africa.
राइट वेलकम बैक टू वेंटेज डेवलपर्स प्रेजेंट्स गेम ऑन है. हम बिल्डअप कर रहे हैं बांग्लादेश वर्सेस नेदरलैंड्स जो कि खेला जाएगा किंग्सटाउन सेंट विंसेंट में. करेबियन में हम बैक टू बैक अब गेम्स देख रहे हैं. यूएसए में थोड़ा हालात जो है वो इस वक्त मुश्किल नज़र आ रहे हैं किसी भी गेम के लिए बिकॉज फ्लोरिडा की जो लेग है वो इस वक्त थोड़ी इम्प्रॉबेबल है. बारिश की फोरकास्ट है. ऑफ कोर्स पाकिस्तान डायरेक्टली इफेक्ट होगा और यूएसए की क्वालिफिकेशन भी अब थोड़ी और लाइकली नज़र आ रही है. अगर गेम नहीं होती दे विल स्टिल गेट अ पॉइंट. सो उसके ऊपर भी हम बात करते रहेंगे. फिलहाल लेट्स स्टिक टू द कैरेबियन एंड सी व्हाट द कंडीशंस देयर आर. अभी हम आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जब टॉस का टाइम होगा, प्लेइंग 11 आएगा, कंडीशंस आएंगी, पिच आएगी तो उसको भी इंक्लूड करेंगे. बट अभी हम ब्रेक से पहले बांग्लादेश के बारे में बात कर रहे थे कि क्यों अभी तक उनको वर्ल्ड कप में इतनी डिफ़िकल्टीज़ हो रही हैं अक्रॉस. अगर हम वर्ल्ड कप्स की बात करें इस बार उनके पास एक मौका ज़रूर है. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट नेदरलैंड्स जो कि हर वर्ल्ड कप में कुछ ना कुछ यूनिट्स हमें सरप्राइज देते हैं. स्पेशली उनके बैटर्स हमने देखा है कि दे हैव व्हाट इट टेक्स टू टेक देयर टीम फर्दर इन द टूर्नामेंट. बट इस बार थोड़े से वो रस्टी नज़र आ रहे हैं. क्या वजह है उसकी? क्योंकि 2022 के बाद से लेके अब तक उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा T20 क्रिकेट नहीं खेली है और वो क्लियरली आप देख सकते हैं उनके मैचेस में भी उनके प्लेयर्स भी रस्टी हैं. क्वालिटी क्रिकेट उनको नहीं मिली है. ओनली 11 गेम्स have been played by the Netherlands team, which is the lowest of all the teams that took part in that last World Cup. कितना फ़र्क पड़ता है यूनुस इससे कि टीम के पास क्वालिटी मैच टाइम नहीं है, ना कॉम्बिनेशंस का इतना आइडिया है और ऑफ कोर्स क्वालिटी टीम्स के अगेंस्ट खेलने का भी इतना एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है.
लेकिन अच्छी बात यह कि उन्होंने 5 मैच जो खेले, 10 मैच जो खेले उसमें 5 जीते हैं, 5 हारे हुए हैं. तो ये चलो एक बूस्ट होता है टीमों के लिए इस तरह की. और मेरे ख्याल से देखिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि क्योंकि वो एक एसोसिएट मेंबर्स हैं तो जो रेगुलर मेंबर्स हैं उनके खिलाफ खेलने का बहुत कम उनको मौका मिलता है. और यही वो पॉइंट होता है जब वो इस तरह के इवेंट्स में आते हैं तो वो चाहते हैं कि उनसे मैक्सिमम जो है ना अचीव कर सकें. तो
आप विजुअल्स भी देख रहे हैं इस वक्त हमें लाइव नजर आ रहे हैं. हवा चल रही है तेज.
We can sense that. Look at those jerseys flapping.
Exactly.
Ooh, strong breeze.
But they look like they're in a very important team meeting, team huddle right now. But आप कह रहे थे कि experience जो है यूनिस वो बहुत important.
बिल्कुल. लेकिन हम देखें ये 2-3 टीमें हैं. नेदरलैंड है, उसमें नमीबिया है. अब इनको आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि एसोसिएट टीम्स हैं और आएंगे और बस आराम से इनके खिलाफ. और इवन जो यूएस को हमने देखा है उन्होंने सरप्राइज़ किया. आयरलैंड की हम बात कर रहे हैं तो आयरलैंड भी अब उस पे है. लेकिन देखिए इनके पास एक तो बात यह है कि इन पर प्रेशर कम होता है. आप एक समझना है, जब ये अगेंस्ट टॉप की टीमों के खिलाफ खेल रहे होते हैं तो इन पे प्रेशर थोड़ा सा कम होता है, जो कि ये इनके लिए पॉजिटिव होता है। तो ये जब आते हैं तो ये मैक्सिमम कोशिश करते हैं कि उनसे ये अचीव कर लें। और दूसरी बात ये होती है कि बाज़-औक़ात क्या होता है, क्योंकि इनके प्लेयर्स के मुतालिक इतनी इन्फॉर्मेशन भी नहीं होती, तो आप थोड़ा सा एज अ टॉप प्लेयर आप उनको बहुत लाइट ले रहे होते हो, जो कि नहीं लेना चाहिए। ये फॉर्मेट उनके लिए बहुत सूटेबल है, क्योंकि अगर आप बाज़-औक़ात जितने भी हमने न्यूयॉर्क में मैचेस देखे वो टॉस पे थे बाज़-औक़ात, और अगर हम वेस्ट इंडीज़ की बात करें तो वहाँ भी अगर बाज़-औक़ात टॉस पे आ जाता है, बारिश भी आ जाती है, तो मेरे ख्याल से ये वो पॉइंट्स होते हैं जो ऐसी टीम्स के लिए बहुत बाज़-औक़ात पॉजिटिव होते हैं। और फिर वो कोशिश भी करते हैं कि कोई सरप्राइज़ कर सके, आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स आते हैं। और मैं फिर जब दूसरी टीमों को देख रहा होता हूँ तो वो बहुत आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स बहुत कम सोच रहे होते हैं। अगर मैं टीम न्यूजीलैंड की बात करूँ तो उन्होंने वही किया कि टॉस जीता, उन्होंने एक मुश्किल कंडीशन में अपने आप को टेस्ट नहीं किया। ठीक है, वो पिछला मैच हारे हुए थे, उनसे जो है वो बुरी तरीके से हारे हुए, तो उनसे चेज़ नहीं हुआ। लेकिन ये है कि यही वो पॉइंट्स होते हैं जो कि अब जब आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स आते हो तो फिर ये ग्लोरी आपके सामने जो ये कप की शक्ल में पड़ी, तो ये आपको करना होता है। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये पॉइंट बाज़-औक़ात जो मिस कर जाते हैं जब डेटा की बात आती है, इन्फॉर्मेशन की बात है। जैसे बाज़-औक़ात हम ये बात करते हैं कि भाई ये इन्फॉर्मेशन जस्ट नंबर्स होते हैं, इसको रखें जहन में ज़रूर, लेकिन वही बात है कि आपने टाइम पे स्विच ऑन होना है एज अ टीम। तो ये एक पॉइंट होता है।
Should I just, what do you reckon, guys? Should I just take it home now? joke. But Australia is looking good, aren't they?
They
very
are.
strong in this edition.
Like they
of the
always
T20 World Cup.
are. Like they always are. But we're talking about what makes teams that special, you know, to go deeper in the tournament, to create an actual real chance for them to win this trophy. We're talking about Netherlands not have had enough game time in the lead up to the World Cup. But what Yunus was saying, that whatever game time they had, they made sure that, you know, they had some victories.
No, that's where ICC role is very important. Like, you know, the way they are trying really hard to develop the new markets, as we've seen, like, you know, the New York is a new market for the cricket. The way they're trying to make it a global sport, they're doing absolutely right thing, spreading it around the world. That is fine. There's another responsibility of ICC that they need to give a similar opportunity to all these teams who already been on a highest level. Like if they participated in a 2022 World Cup in Australia, they should have been given the same opportunity. If any top team is playing 20 games, they should not play half of them. They should play at least 15 to 17 games. They should make sure that all these teams like Netherlands, Ireland, these teams who already played that last tournament, they should have given the same opportunity. So the playing game together should not be something where they are missing that part. So that is, I think, the ICC should look into this, that how they can also contribute or distribute those matches within those associate member, where they should also be equipped enough or ready enough to take these you know, ICC events whenever they are being included into it.
And we all know that exposure in the international stage, up against the best players in the world, in and around with the best players in the world, that is how you learn and how you grow. And I think that the associate nations, which, you know, I actually don't even like calling them that now, because the underdogs have really come to play in this edition of the tournament, Yunus. I think that should be, you know, real encouragement for ICC to say, hey, there's been no bad games this competition. Everyone has come and they've stood up, they've challenged the best sides. Even think back to PNG taking on the West Indies, and we've seen now it's proven how well the West Indies have been performing against the other big nations. And how well did they play, Yunus? They really stood up and played out of their skin. So, you know, no excuses. I think more international cricket for all of these associate nations 100%, because, you know, there really hasn't been any games that haven't been worthy of being a part of this T20 World Cup so far. And it's been wonderful to see, and wonderful to see the growth.
And I have a solution for that. Why not similar kind of like a champion trophy? They have something like before the T20 World Cup. So all the nations can gather,
they are coming into the World Cup by qualifying through the qualifiers.
With that, not qualifier, every team should play at that kind of cricket, because, you know, with the Test Championship, they have all year you can play with them. They and then you decide.
And then the points add up,
points
and then you
same like with 50-over World Cup. Before that, they have a champion trophy. So why not before this T20 World Cup?
But it's very important to make sure that that cycle of exposure continues, because a lot of these players, most of these players that we have seen who are part of the associate teams, have day jobs. They have these other careers because of course the financial incentives are not enough, especially from just playing cricket. We saw that from the USA team as well, and it's so important. All of these players from Netherlands, they have alternate careers to fall back on, so they're not just relying on cricket for that financial income, Martin. And when they do well at these comps, what essentially happens is a lot of financial sponsorship rolls in for these teams, and then of course that circle, that economic cycle continues for them, which is very important because a lot of the players from USA, imagine qualifying for the Super 8s, God knows where they're going after this, but then they all have their proper jobs to go back to. So how important is this for the ICC to ensure that these players are taken care of?
Yeah, it's massive, and you're right about that. The roll-on effect from having ICC events for these smaller nations is huge. You know, the players get paid a lot easier, a lot more. But in saying on your point, Eunice, with trying to add another ICC trophy into the calendar, we've got to remember that there's a T20 World Cup every 2 years, and then on the other years, we've got a Champions Trophy next year, and then in a couple of years' time, there's another World Cup. So and then you've got to throw in the ICC Women's T20 World Cup and the ICC Women's World Cup as well. So there's a lot on the ICC calendar already to try and throw another one in the mix. I think it just loads the calendar up too much for the players, and I think we'll find that team, the rest of those bilateral series will then become almost, I want to say irrelevant, but you won't get the best players playing because they're going to be too tired from playing so much cricket.
No, but they are still playing with this franchise cricket everywhere.
Yeah.
So if we think that these players will get tired from cricket, they're playing everywhere with franchise cricket. The Hafiz mentioned that every time you are available for franchise cricket, you are available for IPL, you are available for PSL, you are available for CPL, you are available for every single. Why not you are available for your country? And then ICC roles very important. With these kind of you earn lot of money, you earn lot of sponsorship from the franchise cricket, but you have to balance with the associate members too, so you can look after them too.
And hopefully it gets to a point where
something like that.
I'm
not saying that you have to be like a T20 championship, but something like that. If you have a window, then you can
we've seen the growth of the women's game back in Australia as well. Our women are full-time athletes now. They're paid accordingly so they can focus their time, and inevitably the standard has improved exponentially because they have the time to devote 100% of their efforts to their craft, which is what we hope we'll see with the associate nations. And we haven't touched on the prize pool yet, but it was released very early in the piece that each of the 20 nations receives at minimum $225,000 to be a part of this. Imagine how far that will go in PNG cricket, for example, for Uganda cricket. It's a massive amount of money, and it's wonderful to see that they did say yes to including those extra teams this year. And as we keep reiterating, Roha, every game has been a contest. There's been no easy games, and there's been plenty of upsets. So it's been a really wild ride, out of this world, as we always keep saying, this edition of the tournament. But I think as we head towards the toss in just about 5 minutes, Roha, it's time to hand out a few prizes and give you the option to. What are the questions today?
Well, you can win a cheesiest family deal. एक बार फिर हम आपके लिए बहुत interesting जो है वो prize लेके आए हैं from our beautiful sponsors who make such delicious food. अगर आपको इस सवाल का जवाब आता है तो प्लीज़ अपने स्क्रीन पे जो फ़ोन नंबर दिया है उस पर कॉल करें और you can win a family deal. सवाल है जी, who is the youngest player to take 10 wickets in a test match? अगर आपको इसका जवाब आता है, आपके स्क्रीन पे फ़ोन नंबर है, प्लीज़ कॉल करें and you will be able to win a Cheesiest family deal.
I mean, the best cricket snacks you could ask for, right? Thanks to our friends at Cheesiest. But that is not all, because we also have the big prize. You can win a plot thanks to Blue World City in the Shoaib Akhtar enclave of Blue World City. What a prize that is. Can't even put a price on that to be part of the big man's enclave in Blue World City. But this is the question today to win that plot. In which year did the T20 format of the World Cup start? Simply answer. Put your comments in the section below in Blue World City Islamabad Facebook page. You can see at the bottom of your screen there. That is all you have to do to win that plot. What a prize, Roha. We keep saying in our penthouses in the Shoaib Akhtar enclave. Can't wait to see who decides to be our neighbour.
The question could not be any easier. If you are a follower of cricket, आपको इसका पता होगा T20 World Cup, when did it start? Well, Pakistan had a pretty decent run in that first edition, if you all remember, up till the very end. अभी तक नहीं भूलता हमें.
1874.
1874. somewhere in that decade, but we still remember the visuals from that final match. Every Pakistan fan, you know, to this day remembers that reverse sweep. But please, उसके बाद अच्छी recovery हुई हमारी.
नहीं, एक तो उस टूर्नामेंट को अगर हम थोड़ा सा रिफ्रेश करें तो वो बहुत शानदार सक्सेस थी पाकिस्तान की. बहुत अच्छी क्रिकेट खेली हमने और बड़ी अच्छे वे में हम लोग फाइनल तक गए और हमें कोई दुआओं की और कुदरत के निज़ाम की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी थी.
We
went to the final of that tournament completely
without any rain,
on
without
our
any,
own.
you know, Australia playing well, New Zealand playing well.
तो देखना ये था कि वो बहुत अच्छी सक्सेस थी. फिर हम लोग जब वो एक हर्डल नहीं हम क्रॉस कर सके, हम लोग फाइनल नहीं जीत सके, इट हैपेंड. लेकिन जो उसकी रिकवरी यूनुस भाई ने उसके अगले साल में पूरी की, जिस तरीके की तैयारी थी दिमाग की कि यार एक चीज़ हम लोग कर सकते थे, हम लोग नहीं कर सके, लेट्स डू इट दिस टाइम. तो दैट इज़ समथिंग स्पेशल कि आप अगर 2007 के फाइनल को अगर आप याद करें तो हम वो मैच भी जीत रहे थे लेकिन हम नहीं जीत सके. इट ऑल्सो आई विल से कि समवेयर वी आर नॉट विनिंग मैचेस अगेंस्ट इंडिया बिकॉज ऑफ द मेंटल स्टेट. ये स्किल्स की वजह से नहीं हो रहा, कहीं ना कहीं हम मेंटली कम्पीट नहीं कर पा रहे. और फिर जब हम बाद में आए, जब 2009 में हम लोगों ने क्रिकेट खेली और बड़े मुश्किल हालात में वो जो तैयारी थी इनकी थी, जो यूनुस भाई अक्सर बात करते हैं कि उन्होंने आउट ऑफ द स्किन और आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स फैसले लिए.
बिल्कुल ऐसी था, बिल्कुल ऐसी.
बहुत सी ऐसी जगह पे चीज़ें आसान थी कि यार ये करोगे तो आसान तरीका है, लेकिन उन्होंने मुश्किल रास्ता इख्तियार किया टू गेट देयर, क्योंकि वो तैयारी दिमाग की वैसे हुई हुई थी. तो 2009 में आई थिंक वी प्लेड बेटर क्रिकेट दैन 2007 और उसमें लीडरशिप की क्वालिटी थी, उसमें प्लेयर्स का रिस्पॉन्स था. तो मुझे लगता है ओवरऑल एक बेहतरीन शो था 2007 से 2009 की विक्ट्री.
And also you picked up from where you ended in 2007, that momentum, that tournament prep that Pakistan have been lacking, because if we compare this Pakistan team to the one that played the final against England just a couple of years, a year and a half back, Martin, how important is it in these big comps to really pick up where you left from in that previous edition, because a lot of Pakistanis were counting on Babar and co to really pick up from there?
Yeah, I guess with a couple of years in between, it's hard to keep that momentum because you play so much other cricket everywhere. But in saying that, the guys play a lot together in the PSL and things like that, so they still sort of have a little bit of team cohesiveness, but they're playing for different teams, and when they come together, you know, it's about turning up straight away and getting off to a good start. And obviously Pakistan didn't quite do that in this tournament, but they have started to play some better cricket now. So I think they can still do it, they can still qualify. They've just got to turn up on the day and play their best cricket.
And we want Mother Nature to be on our side. We want there to be a contest for that final game for Pakistan as well, Roha.
And you remember what happened last World Cup, right? Kudrat ka nizam was all over
The
the
Netherlands
news.
did you a favour, didn't
because,
they?
Because Kudrat, you know, when Kudrat comes in play, nature, it really helped Pakistan in that last World Cup, and this time I think it's working a little bit
मैं
against.
ज़ात तौर पर बड़ी दुआएं कर रहा हूँ और मैं सारे पाकिस्तानी फैन कर रहे होंगे कि हम जो है अगले राउंड में पहुँचे.
We're just building up towards the toss. Of course, it's Netherlands versus Bangladesh. कुछ ही देर में, कुछ ही moments में हम आपको लेके चलेंगे live to St. Vincent. We've talked about this game, the importance of winning, especially now for Bangladesh, Eden. It's so important because they came so very close against South Africa. And once again, it's up to them to take their fate forward in this World Cup.
Absolutely. I think it's all to play for today. As we keep saying, Group D, it means that, you know, whoever wins this game could be the one that qualifies for the Super 8. But it looks like there are covers on that wicket. And I just wanted to say earlier, it did look like it was a little overcast, a little moody. There was a really, really strong breeze blowing around there, which hopefully, if there is a little bit of barish around, which we can see obviously, which is why the wicket is covered, that's going to blow through really quickly. I might come to you, Hafiz, considering how much you've played in the CPL. You've played at this ground before. What do you know of the ground, weather-wise? Is it a place where weather goes through pretty quickly, and if it's hot and humid and windy, what does that sort of do to the wicket in your opinion?
Well, normally in Caribbean, wherever you go, you are not sure about the weather because you know it is going to be hot, but you never know what time the the rain will follow that heat. But at the moment, St. Vincent, the last time when I played there, it was 2013. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That time I told you like the pin was conducive for the spinner. It was giving a lot of options as a spinner. So We won against West Indies after like we were 4 as a spinner to play that game. So I don't know. Obviously, it's been more than a decade. So I don't know what will be the condition. But in Caribbean, you can expect rain at any time.
I want to kind of jump back now because we had such a great conversation about how important these comps are to associate nations, and we've seen how much the Netherlands have grown over the last couple of years off the back of success in ICC tournaments. So if we're going to actually take a little look at the lineup for the Netherlands as well, a certain man who actually hails from Auckland, which you know obviously far too well, Marty. That is where you're from in New Zealand. Max O'Dowd has been such an integral part of the batting lineup for the Netherlands. He sits as the most runs since 2022 in T20 internationals for the Netherlands. Why is he so important? What makes him so good? And what can you tell us from having played with him a lot back home?
Yeah, obviously he provides the glue at the top. He's so consistent. I mean, he averages 30, which, he might want to get that a bit higher, but I still think it's pretty healthy in the T20 format. He may want to get his strike rate up a little bit there, just to tick over 120, but he just provides him such solid starts. You can always count on him to be sort of thereabouts around the 6 over mark, and then the occasion that he does get away to a flyer, he has got a high score of, I think it's around 132 or 134 not out, and he just hits the ball so cleanly. He's been part of the Auckland squad, and being able to see him train and things like that, he's just a natural striker of the ball. He works really hard in his game as well, and he's just always up for a bit of a fight too. Lovely guy. He comes out and starts to play these funky little shots when he gets going as well, little flicks and things like that. So, when he's going, he's quite hard to bowl to because you're just not sure what he's going to do and where he's going to hit the ball.
And in terms of his pathways to be playing for the Netherlands today, obviously hailing from New Zealand and Auckland, was it a matter of being unable to squeeze himself into the setup for the Kiwis, for the Black Caps, or, obviously heritage of Dutch nature as well to be playing for the Netherlands today? But in terms of his story, choosing Netherlands, great choice in the end because here he is playing at an ICC T20 World Cup. So what do you know about his journey to playing here today?
Not too much, to be honest, but obviously, he's got the Dutch heritage and he's decided to go and play for them, which is fantastic because it gets him that exposure to international cricket. He plays against some great sides. New Zealand went and played there in 2022, I think it was, mid-year, and we had a great series against them over in the Netherlands, so it was fantastic, and he then got to play against guys he's played with and against at home for a number of years. So, to be able to do that and see, but it's not only him, it's also, Logan van Beek, Tim Pringle, who both hail from New Zealand as well. So it's, cool to be able to play against those guys in a different place, different situation, and a different level of cricket as well. So, it's cool that they get to do that and then also get to play in the T20 World Cup because, they, if I'm being honest, probably wouldn't get a go for New Zealand and the national team. So for them to be able to go away and play for a different nation and, succeed as well, it's really cool to see.
Just an invaluable experience for him, and he'll be
100%.
very important today if they are to get up over the Bangladeshis today. But we've been speculating about what kind of a pitch we can expect. We're over in St Vincent in the Grenadines at the moment, but there's no need to speculate anymore because we do have our pitch report ready. Yes, it is covered at the moment, but when it was open a little bit earlier, we had Alan Wilkins and Sean Pollock walk us through the conditions we can expect today. Here's our pitch report.
Gee, that was the pitch report from St. Vincent. We saw there was a bit of sun when this pitch report was recorded. इस वक्त toss थोड़ा सा delayed है because of some drizzle. Let's hope it's only that, a drizzle, a passing shower. But Hafiz, from what you saw off the surface, आपने पहले कहा था कि ये spinners से conducive थी back when you played. आज आपका क्या opinion है? And of course, if you win the toss, will you also be bowling first?
देखिए, मुझे लगता है कि इस पिच के ऊपर जब इतनी देर से बड़ी क्रिकेट या बड़े इंटरनेशनल मैचेस नहीं हुए हुए और आप श्योर नहीं हैं और जो पिच इस वक्त नज़र आया, आई वुड लाइक टू बैट फर्स्ट.
Okay.
अगर इसमें मॉइस्चर नहीं है, why not to put a runs on the board and then you have a fast bowler and spin. As a Bangladeshi fan, I'm saying, if you win the toss, I think Bangladesh should bat first, put runs on the board because जो last time हमने यहाँ पे क्रिकेट खेली हुई है, उसमें भी हम लोग जो सीरीज जीते थे वो बैट फर्स्ट करके जीते. आई नो इट्स अ 10 years ago आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, लेकिन इस वक्त मुझे लगता है जो ये कंडीशन नज़र आ रही है और अगर हल्की सी ड्रिजल हुई है वो भी आपकी बैटिंग को ज़्यादा फ़ायदेमंद इसलिए साबित होती है कि जब बॉल जाता है ग्राउंड के अंदर तो वो उसकी जो सीम बहुत जल्दी गीली होती है और आपकी जो टर्न और वो जो थोड़ी बहुत भी आपको बॉल ने मोमेंट देनी है वो आपकी स्लो डाउन हो जाती है. तो मुझे लगता है बैट फर्स्ट वुड बी द बेटर ऑप्शन.
राइट यूनुस, आपके क्या थॉट्स हैं? आर यू आल्सो इन एग्रीमेंट, विन द टॉस बैट फर्स्ट या आज बॉलर्स?
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से देखिए जो इसको कंडीशन है कि दोनों टीमें चाहेंगी कि वो थोड़ा सा बैक पे आएँ और जो उनको गिवन टास्क दिया है उसको चेस करें। तो मेरे ख्याल से जो भी कैप्टन होंगे, अगर मैं होता तो मैं भी यही करता, क्योंकि
बॉल करते हैं आप भी
एज अ बैटर जो होते हैं आपको आप चैलेंज को जो ना आप टू चैलेंज होते हैं और चाहते हैं कि आप बैटिंग करें, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल से जो भी कैप्टन जीतेंगे वो पहले बॉलिंग ही करेंगे। मुझे
अभी हम लाइव विजुअल्स भी देख रहे हैं. Isolated showers is what we're hearing, but look how beautiful landscapes, beautiful ground, of course.
That's not beautiful, Roha. Get it off my screen. I am sick of this barish, I tell you. Not you, Maddie Hayden.
How
Absolutely
cute does
loving
Matthew
your work.
Hayden look in that cowboy hat? He's channeling that USA.
That's his vibe.
Yeah.
He wears it all the time. That
Yeah.
hat. There's actually a story about that hat. I mean, we've got time.
We do have
at the
time.
moment.
Go
But
on.
that hat was actually a present from his wife on his 50th birthday. So it was a
How
couple of
sweet.
years ago now, on his way over to host the IPL. And I've been working with Qatar Airways for a little while as an ambassador, and he actually lost that hat. He lost that hat in the lounge. He called me especially and said, I don't know what you can do, but if you can get me that hat back, I'll be forever indebted. So every time I see him wearing it now, I go, you're welcome. You're welcome, Maddie Hayden. That's his 50th birthday hat, and it's absolutely iconic when it comes to the big DOS. And we absolutely love his work on the coverage for the ICC World Cup. He's doing commentary over there at the moment. I'm getting in my ear that we actually have a winner announcement at the moment for one of our competitions. So why not, Roha, as we wait for the toss and our playing 11s?
Yeah.
It's our Parkview Winner Mobile Daily competition. So our winner from yesterday, it is my absolute pleasure to announce that it is, drum roll please, congratulations Raja Musa Mamoon.
Woo!
You win yourself that mobile phone. Congratulations. What a prize. What a prize. Best way to stay up to date with us as well on our social media channels. We are keeping you updated on our personal and of course PTV Sports Official on Instagram and Facebook. So do stay in touch with us there. We get pretty fun backstage with all of our behind the scenes here, Roha. But you know, one thing I just noticed as I was keeping up to date with the updates from the ground, Marty, is Shakib Al Hassan was seen batting in a neck brace in the nets to warm up. Now, what an out that would be if he is not fit enough to play this game today.
Yeah, that'll be massive if he's unable to play for Bangladesh. I mean, he has been, well, he is their most experienced player across formats for them, and he's just such a big talisman for them in their lineup that he can win the ball with the bat and he can win the game with the ball. Sorry, so for him not to be there, you know, they probably almost go in as underdogs, having such a big player out.
And that'd be a huge, huge plus for the Netherlands if they didn't have the experience of Shakib Al Hassan. Not the captain now, but the wealth of experience he has as not just being a crucial all-rounder, but a captain, a long-serving captain for Bangladesh in all formats.
Even in the last World Cup, we saw Shakib had to miss a few games, go back home, come back, rejoin the team. So there's always something going on in that Bangladesh camp. But Shakib Al Hassan, you know, he has been contributing for decades for his team as an all-rounder. So they cannot afford to lose him. At this
not
point
at
once
all.
again.
Well, I think whilst we do wait for that all-important toss and the playing 11s, let's continue on with our quiz section because we have plenty of prizes to give out each and every pre-show here on Advantage Holdings Presents Game on Hair. But now it is time to have the question for today's episode of your Parkview Winner Mobile Daily. And the question today is as follows on your screen. Who was the leading wicket taker for Pakistan in the ICC T20 World Cup in 2021? You can see some curious faces looking over at me. To answer that question, all you have to do is jump onto the official Facebook page of Parkview City Islamabad and Parkview City Lahore.
और एक और जी हमारे बहुत प्यारे स्पॉन्सर्स हैं जे डॉट जो हर शो में आपके लिए परफ्यूम्स लेके आते हैं. इस बार भी एक बहुत आसान क्वेश्चन है. अगर आपको इस क्वेश्चन का जवाब आता है, यू माइट बी एबल टू विन अ परफ्यूम बाय जे डॉट. सवाल बहुत आसान है. हु वाज द कोच ऑफ द इंग्लैंड cricket team during the ICC T20 World Cup 2022? Well, अगर आपको इस सवाल का जवाब आता है, आपकी स्क्रीन पे फ़ोन नंबर है, प्लीज़ कॉल करें and you might be able to win a beautiful perfume from J Dot, our very own sponsors. So thank you so much J Dot. आपने हमें बहुत सपोर्ट किया है इस पूरे वर्ल्ड कप में by engaging the audiences, और आप सबका भी बहुत शुक्रिया for engaging with the show every day, for calling us, texting us, tweeting at us. सारे social media पे आपने हमें follow किया and you're keeping up with all the BTS as well. So thank you guys once again for showing us so much love and support throughout the World Cup.
Oh, so appreciated, so appreciated. Toss, I'm just hearing, is still delayed though, so that weather must be sticking around in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Not what we want to hear. Obviously, Florida, which we know is essentially underwater at the moment, is not too far away from the Caribbean. Now that we've moved from New York, we said goodbye to the East Coast. We're on the West Coast now, and yeah, there seems to be quite a lot of weather around that area, which is really disappointing, Roha.
I think it's because you sang that Barish Ho Rahi Hai song yesterday. It did not go well for
it's
any
my
of the...
anti-rain dance.
That's you summoning the rain, Erin. It's not anti-rain.
No.
Yes.
But you know, this World Cup deserves a contest. But the one thing that I am seeing now as well, flooding through on social media, that we have seen this rain delay, is all of a sudden, Eunice, they're going, oh, Sri Lankan fans,
It
sit
look
up
like
a little
east
bit
or
straighter.
west, there is a rain.
Yeah, there's a rain. And you know, it's a frustrating part of our sport, but it really means those teams that didn't start as well, it's so damaging for your chances to try and get through to the Super 8. If I could get you to put your Oracle hat, grab it off Marty for me, put it on yours, let's actually have a bit of a chance now to chat about who we actually think is going to make it through in each of these groups. Who's going to be our Super 8? We know we've got Australia, we've got India, we've got South Africa, and we have
West Indies.
West Indies have qualified just this morning.
One
of
from
course,
each group.
the New Zealander
Pakistan,
among us
they
has
are in
spoken. But of course,
In
let's
trouble.
come back
In
to
trouble.
जिस तरह अभी एरिन ने भी ये बात की कि जिन टीम्स का स्टार्ट अच्छा नहीं हुआ इस टूर्नामेंट में वो बहुत ज़्यादा अब इफेक्ट होंगी इस बारिश से. मुझे वो याद आ गया जब यूनिवर्सिटी शुरू हुई थी तो पेरेंट्स की तरफ से नहीं आता वो प्रेशर के पहले 2-3 सेमेस्टर हैं जीपीए अच्छा कर लो उसके बाद जीपीए कवर नहीं होना. अभी आई थिंक जो टीम्स का स्टार्ट अच्छा नहीं हुआ है वो इस वक्त बहुत सफ़र कर रही हैं. अब श्रीलंका भी बैठे हुए हैं फैंस और बारिश को देख रहे हैं. एंड ऑफ कोर्स कुछ भी हो सकता है.
That's mean, you have to be switch on from the first game. If you lose that momentum, you lose that confidence in the first game, you will be nowhere, especially in these kind of format when you have to win every single game. And it looks simple is look that US team, they are still they are winning 2 games, they lose 1 game, and now maybe they are somewhere not qualified. So this is the beauty of these kind of formats. So you have to be switch on. You have to be switch on. Not only with the winning the game, with the net run should be somewhere high. So
बिल्कुल
that is the main key.
Visuals आपकी screens पर हैं, covers जो हैं वो हटा रहे हैं. The covers are coming off.
Good.
So we might get an update
Good.
soon. But right now, from what we know, the toss is going to be just a little bit more delayed. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, for your time during this pre-match show. And Erin, thank you for being my beautiful co-host. We're going to wrap up. यहाँ से एक break की तरफ जाएंगे. But when we come back, hopefully we will have a toss for you. And of course, the live action that will follow. Thank you so much for watching Vantage Developers presents Game On.